again, the perspectives. So I figured I would try to get, they're very used to the pro-war, anti-war. They've heard that before. And again, a lot of kids, they've all seen Forrest Gump. That seems to be like the big one, which is great. So I was trying to find some Vietnamese perspectives. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of writing out there with a North Vietnamese perspective or with a South Vietnamese, really. So those are the only ones I could find. So yeah, I was hoping that we could look at each kind of side's perspective, the pro-war and the anti for both countries, and hopefully make some comparisons. You know, the big thing that I wanted them to get out of it was that it's not just the one-sided thing. I really wanted to hit the multiple perspectives today, the empathy thing. If you were in this situation, would you agree with it? And I think they kind of got that, at least with the Ho Chi Minh stuff. It was like, oh my God, French sucks. You know? Yeah, see, and that's what they were going through. This is why, you know, I know you all are taught basically to hate communism, but if you're in this sort of situation, you can see where that sounds appealing. It's the same thing with, like, you know, why Hitler was able to convince the Germans. So hopefully getting them to see some slightly different sides of it. And I'm curious to see if their answers for tonight's homework differ from what their warm-up was. Tuesday. How do you think you would have felt about the war if you lived back then? I'm just really curious. Again, there's no wrong answer, but like, would you have been for it? Would you have been against it? Would you have thought it was like, great, we need to support democracy? Or would you have been like, this is dumb? Haley.
Sorry, I just hope you I said I wouldn't like it because it's like, I'm a girl, so I'd be home by myself.
Okay.
And I wouldn't want my family going over there to the war.
Okay, so you wouldn't want your family going over there. Now, if it was World War II, would you have felt different? So, how are we feeling about the French right now? We're not a fan. If you were a Vietnamese citizen at that time, how would you probably feel about the French? Think about how the U.S. felt about Great Britain when we were still under their control. Did we like them? No. No, and they didn't treat us nearly as bad as the Vietnamese got treated. Okay, so you've got to keep that in mind. From their perspective, they're sick of it. They don't want to be controlled anymore. And they've seen a whole bunch of other people have revolutions. They saw the French Revolution. They saw the U.S. Revolution. They saw the Haitian Revolution. They saw all that stuff happen. And they're like, well, we don't want to be under French control either. Like, why can't we rebel? And then it goes on to talk about why they're creating the Indo-Chinese Communist Party. Okay, it's a party for the working class. Okay, the everyday people. And if you've been treated horribly and there's not really any wealthy Vietnamese, don't you think a working party class kind of sounds appealing? It's run by everyone. It's fair. It's equal. Okay, kind of makes sense why that would be appealing to the citizens at the time. And also, look at number 2 for the, not the second paper, sorry, number 2 on your paper on the back, the things that they were talking about. What does it say?
To make Indochina completely independent.
Completely independent. Remember how we talked about they'd been controlled by Chinese for a while first? Like a really long while. And then the French? At this point, they're sick of it. They just want to be completely independent. They don't want to be under control of anybody else. They want their own country. Again, do you think that's fair?
Yes.
Do you disagree with them wanting to be rid of everything? Okay. Does he mention America in this? Does he mention America being involved in the war? Does he mention the Vietnam War?
No.
What does he call the Vietnam War?
Civil War.
He calls it a civil war. What does that say about it? Yes. Interesting. He says that it should just be, Devontae, turn around, do not talk to Jacob. He says that it should just be the Vietnamese fighting. It's a civil war. It is a war between North Vietnam and South Vietnam. It should not involve other countries. Okay? Yes?
But there might be what they consider a civil war, but there's also causes that other countries could possibly step in.
Well, in some ways, yes, that's true. But you got to figure in the average, everyday South Vietnamese person's mind, does the political opinion, or the opinion of the country's politics, should that really matter to America? No. He's like, it's not your business. We might not like communism, but it's certainly not your business. You know, so there's kind of a, why are you involved, you know? Yes?
It's kind of confusing because you would think that they would want the U.S., America to help because...
And I think some did. Some South Vietnamese did want America's help in defeating communism. But just like any civil war, any war in general, does everyone agree with one side? No. Like, it's not going to be all for or all against. You're going to get these mixed opinions. His whole thing is just, this constant war is ruining Vietnam. We need to figure this out. Like, this is not working. It's just destroying the entire country. You lived in the United States during the Vietnam War time. And then, is there anything that would have changed your mind? So several people during the war did change their mind. They might have started off pro-war, and then once most of America found out about the My Lai massacre, a lot of people changed their mind. Some people, changed their mind because their families went off to fight. So is there anything that would have affected your opinion and changed your mind, even if it wasn't super realistic, such as talking to a North or South Vietnamese person, learning now what you know about their side? If they had told you these things, would that have changed your mind?